When you think about the journey you've been on and how long it's been, how would you sum it up? So where we at, man?
We are driving in Kensington, where it all started. So this block right here is the block I grew up in, and that's the house. That's my house. That's the house I grew up in. It's abandoned now.
The journey of fighting I've been about like 17 years now. So I'm going on like two decades of life work. I'd sum it up in it's a life work. I think at 8 years old, I remember moments. My dad kind of teaching me, how to fight, how to throw a punch, and just kind of wanting to make him happy, wanting to make him proud, and then going down the street and knocking for friends and wanting to see if they'll fight me, like with boxing gloves and things like that. So I think fighting has to be in someone. It got to be inside you, and I felt like it was inside me. Like I wanted to compete, I wanted to fight, kind of wanted to be in a moment. So it wasn't something I need to try to do. It was something that was inside of me that I just found I'm lucky enough that it became a sport and something that I could be an outlet that I could express myself on.
I think for a child to kind of deal with poverty and being in an environment like that at a young age, I think the ones who make it out are the ones with structure. I see that the most people that make it out are ones with good moms and dads, and the majority of time, if you have that backbone, that structure, when you go home you feel safe and your mom and dad love you, they'll make it out of almost anything. But when you live in something like that, and when you go home and there's nothing but uncertainty, you're fatherless or motherless, most of them don't do well. And that's a large majority of people who live in that area. There's a lot of fatherless, there's a lot of motherless, and a lot of neglect going on. And the inner city kind of lends itself to that. So it's I consider myself blessed. Yeah, was I born there? Yeah, I was born there. But I don't live there today. I know how it strengthened me. I know that I had good mother and father who loved me, and I was blessed to kind of, it strengthened me. It made me be resourceful. It made me become the man I am. It made me become the fighter I am.
Being told no a lot, not having a lot of resources, not being able to get the things I wanted, it just drove me emotionally. It drove me crazy to the point where, I'd work my butt off and find solutions, and be incredibly curious about how to find solutions and get things done. And that was, that's how I became driven.
So what is the typical come home from training routine?
Right here, we usually get
Saturdays are our days.
Yeah, Saturday's our day to chill, but Eat Clean Bro usually does it. They deliver all my meals during the week, so usually when I come home, it's pretty much done. That's all we gotta do. Shout out to Eat Clean Bro. Aniston! Come here, honey.
We like a lot of company all the time. Our house is always full of people. Fight camps, it kind of dials it back, and we grind, and then we celebrate together when it's over.
And boy, do we celebrate.
So Ed and I both went to Catholic high schools in Philadelphia. So he went to an all-boy high school, and I went to an all-girl high school. So there was no way we were meeting each other in high school. Growing up, I guess in Philly, you grow up pretty fast. So at really a young age, we were hanging out, going to after-hour clubs, Baja. There's just a whole strip of these clubs that we all used to go to. Mostly everyone in Philly, that's our generation, were at these clubs at that time. So we met at probably 2:30 in the morning at after hours. Neither one of us should have been there, but I guess fate may have it. We both ended up there, and that's where I met him. And then we just kind of knew a lot of the same people, same circle. I just don't really know how we didn't meet before, but you know, timing's everything, and here we are.
It was early on, like when I knew, like, I'm probably gonna marry this girl. I'm gonna marry Jamie, because like I've been in street fights, even before I started fighting inside of a cage, where I'd fight somebody and all my friends would run, and then I'd hit the dude, I'd look over and Jamie's punching the dude, and I'm like, man, this chick's like for it, you know. She's a little bit as crazy as I am, but like also like an awesome girl. I love to hang with her, love to be around her, and but she had fire in her just like I did. So she understood me. She understood where I was from. She would pick me up from North Philly, you know, and then we would share dreams together. We would drive to neighborhoods like the one we're in right now and be like, man, it'd be awesome to live here one day.
Pop on. Watch out, the sneeze coming. It's gonna come. It's gonna come.
And it was so far within our reach at the time, but we would like talk about that stuff. And she was like, you're gonna like believed in me, believed in like everything I said. Like didn't matter like what I dreamed up. She's like, boom, like you're gonna do it. And that's just how it went. And still today it's like that. So it's like, it's one thing to like have an imagination, and then that's another thing to like have someone to be like, hey, you're gonna do that shit, you know? So like she did that for me really early on, and that like never like wanted to let her down.
Eddie Alvarez pounding away, trying to move on to the championship. Coward Jerry is hurting. Yes, sir! Alvarez wins! Very nice.
Crazy.
I love
That's
that. Love
crazy.
it.
So we want to shake in.
Yeah, we did like a little fasted workout this morning. As we get closer to the fight, I do a little more fasted workouts, and then where are we at? We're almost like 12 o'clock now. So this will be our first meal after fasted workout.
And there's this one restaurant, Dad, and it was a $70,000 golden pizza. So it was like 70. It added up to like $76,000.
Guess what time it is? 2:30.
What does that mean?
2:30. This is every Sunday we go to Pop's house, so it's an hour drive into New Jersey, and it's our favorite day of the week. We're gonna ride the quads and have some fun in the woods, right? Right, little chef?
We are going to try.
Yeah. Let's go. We're at Pop's house. Hey.
Hey. Hi.
How you doing? Good. How you doing, buddy?
Happy Sunday.
Oh, me!
This is Miko.
Come here.
That's Rocky.
Ew.
This is
Come here.
Jerry. Jerry, that's Will.
Nice to meet you. Pleasure.
We do like a family day every Sunday. They come over, usually cook something, or they bring a bunch of food. Ed's brother comes over. It's like we do like a family dinner every Sunday.
We come to Poppy's, Pops, whatever we want to call him. My other favorite guy in the world. That's what we do. We come over here, we hang out. The kids like to quad, they go in the woods. It's kind of like a little campground, but at Pop's house.
So, Pops, you want to tell me about the first time you met Eddie and what your thoughts was? I already heard the story.
Yeah.
I already heard the story.
First time I ever met him was Easter morning. I woke up. My son was still like 8 years old, so we hid eggs around the apartment. I walk out of my bedroom, who's laying on the couch? I just see this dude laying on his stomach with Alvarez across his back.
It's been a journey for him. I can tell you that much. He does a very good job of balancing the family life and the athlete life. I can tell you that, big time.
In our house, he's dad first, fighter second. Almost where I don't ever want him to feel that that's all that he is, because he's so much more than just a fighter, and I don't want him to, and I don't want my kids to look at him as like the fighter dad. Like, no, he's dad, and that happens to be great at fighting. So I always try to keep that balance in our household and with our kids. I mean, even, I don't think our kids, they see people and take pictures of them and they're like, they laugh.
And Jamie does a very good job at balancing the kids with all of that. She does. I give all the credit to her. And he worked hard his whole life to build this, and he's done a very good job. I can tell you that, man. It's more important to me to be a good father, to be a good husband, and then maybe the byproduct of me just being a good man happens to be I can be a good fighter, not the opposite. So I just everything I am, like no man is an island. Without my family, I couldn't do this for myself. I could never do and achieve everything I achieve for myself. I'm just not, I don't feel important enough. I feel like my family is important enough for me to be able to go out there and achieve what I achieved. And I owe everything I have to them. There was points in the sport, plenty of points where I was just like, man, enough is enough. So much chaos, so much fighting, enough is enough. But promises to my wife, promises to my children, or telling my children, this is how you should approach your life. And then maybe I wasn't doing it. I needed to be a man of my word and show them by example. Show them that when it gets difficult, you got to push past that, that it made it easier for me to climb to the top, having my family, have my back than it ever would have without them. Fighters, they get distracted by wanting to be famous overnight, wanting to make money overnight, and they get sucked into wanting to sign with the biggest, largest promotion to kind of put themselves there. But what they kind of miss is the point of bringing value to the promotion. So when I step up to a promotion and I'm not ready, I didn't build my own value, I didn't build my own career, have the right names and become a champion of a series of promotions, I had no value to this promotion. I had zero value. So when I go to it, I can't expect a lot of money, can't expect a big prize. And we are in the business of prize fighting. So I think for me, at an early stage, I understood that when I joined a promotion, I needed to bring value to that promotion. And in order to do that, I needed to be a world champion of numerous places. I needed to gain my own attention. I needed to gain my skill set. I needed to be able to beat the best guys in the world, and that took time. That took time. It wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon. And you need to treat your career like a marathon, not a sprint.
In fighting, you have to have that in your head. Could I keep moving? Could I keep moving? Could I keep moving, right? Because when you get backed up against the cage, you're like, oh, should I go? Should I not go? Boom, same thing. So just keep your movement, right? That's nothing more, nothing less. Guys, fight, just two. And now, you have the space to get up, all right? Let's go. Before I was ever his coach, first I was a fan, then we were sparring partners, and he moved to Florida, and when he came back, he wanted to come and train with us, and then I became his coach, So I think that, we just had that trust of being, in the foxhole together as fighters, and me seeing him fight, and him seeing me fight. You know what, cool, now this guy's retired, I could listen to him, and our relationship just kind of evolved from there, and I was retired already, so more into a coaching role, and Eddie's a really fun guy to work with just because the amount of talent, you know, the passion that he has for fighting, and you know, he could do anything. Like, you know, you're talking about a guy who's held the belt at every organization he's fought, and to be honest, in the past year or so, I've seen like this renewed sense of purpose. Like, he really wants this ONE FC belt, and it's fun to watch. Him, after all he's done, just kind of get up and go through the camps, and even now during COVID, of not having the fight scheduled, but still coming in, doing the work, and trying to be a dad, trying to be a husband at the same time. But like, I could see the fire that he has, like how bad he wants to be a champion of ONE FC.
You started fighting in a time where you just went out and fought. You didn't know how to prepare for a guy. You didn't know all these different styles now, all these fighters from around the world. You couldn't prepare. Now, like, the game is so popular and it's getting big that you can do that. People can afford to, like, bring in guys' looks and things like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think being part of a larger camp lends itself to be able to kind of, hey, we have a guy from this part of the world and his style is like this. So like, a lot of them guys go to them larger camps so they can get different feels and different looks. But I don't know. I think fighting in general is more about, it's a you thing, you imposing your will, you doing what you do well, and you want to understand your opponent. Like, you want to understand him, his strengths and his weaknesses. If you know them, he's easier to kind of to dominate and execute. But at the end of the day, the most important thing of all is to understand yourself and know where you're good, where you're strong, and imposing your will, not being too fully concentrated on what he does. So it's all about you. It's all about you when you get in there.
Before I go into Mark, I have to talk about like my relationship with Henry Hooft. I moved from Florida, and me and Henry won some world titles together, and I couldn't live in Florida anymore. Like, I wanted to raise my family back home where I lived, where me and my wife lived in Pennsylvania. So I did that, and me and Henry grew a great relationship together. And he got me like, I wanted to kill for Henry. I love working with Henry, and he's got me to a level, like, I really appreciate Henry and what he's done for me. And outside of even just coaching, we have a great friendship and relationship. I still speak with Henry, and I owe a lot to Henry. But I had to move back home, and I don't want to say I was regretful, but there's a huge part of me that was like sad that I couldn't no longer have that relationship with Henry. But I knew coming back and being with Mark Henry, which I worked with pretty much in and out throughout my whole career, I knew that, like, being back here and working with him full time, that there was going to be a lot of attention to detail. It was a smaller gym, it was a family setting, and there was only a couple guys. And Mark's unique. Mark understands how to win, and that's all he's focused on. This is a guy who had a little league football team who never won a game, who took that team to like 20-0 the following year, and has nothing other to do. He knew nothing about football, really, just little bits, but he understands how to win. And I seen that about him right when I first started working with him. The attention to detail, the always videoing, always correcting mistakes, and there's a real fast learning curve. Because we're videoing, we're correcting mistakes. We're videoing, we're correcting mistakes. We're constantly doing that. And it makes for a real fast learning curve being under him. And you just know that there's an attention to detail that you're not going to get with anyone else.
The coach changed.
This guy.
After 10 years, still trying to get him.
Yeah, I don't remember him anyway.
Changed, everybody else does.
Yeah. And then you'll come back the next fight. Let's say you have a title fight, and he said all these codes. Well, he thinks everybody was listening to him, so he'll change the codes to Japanese. And then from Japanese, your codes might be in.
We'll flip some kids.
Yeah.
Guys like Eddie, man, they're just one in a million. You know, Eddie's a pioneer. Eddie's yesterday, Eddie's today, Eddie's tomorrow. Like, you know, he evolves, and not too many guys. I think to be an Eddie, you know, you have to be born a fighter, you know, not just, you know, there's so many fighters and I don't blame them, you know, that get into fighting and then it's just too much, man. It's too much of a grind, or your body gets beat up, the money may be so-so, and you know, they wind up falling out of love with fighting, you know, where, so I think to be like an Eddie, you just has to be ingrained in you, has to be, you know, part of your soul, and I think that's, you know, Eddie Alvarez, you know, when he talks about the dog coming out, that, you know, that is him. He's the dog, you know, he's the fighter. He's, you know, the type of guy who's gonna, you know, go out there and not really care about the purse. He's gonna care about, you know, just the battle. You know, I've had, you know, times with Eddie where they've given him opponents, and I've said, take this guy, this opponent, you know, he's a great matchup for you, and he'll say, no, I want a war, and this guy won't give me a war, and it would have been a easier battle for Eddie, and he says, no, I want the war. And, you know, that's the type of guy he is. Like I said, some guys, you know, they're Instagram fighters, you know. Eddie's the type of guy, you know, he brings his lunch pail to work, and he likes what he does. He loves the camaraderie. He's always the guy that's after sparring, sitting with the new guys and you know, telling them different technique and whatnot to help them with their next fight. Like, he loves the game, you know, and not only that, he's a great man. Like, he will help anybody at any time. He'll give the shirt off your back. So that's what makes, for me, that's what makes him so special. And he has all those layers where he, you know, competes at each layer and does phenomenal at each layer. He's the best dad. He's the best husband. You know, he's doing stocks now. He's giving our whole team. He's made our team more money than anybody. Everybody's calling him up constantly. They don't call me anymore for fighting tips. They call him for stock tips. And, you know, he's done such an amazing job with anything that he puts his hand on. You know, and not only that, he's been doing it for a long, long, long time. Like, man, 16, 17 years. I can remember first him and Frankie sparring. We go to Philly, you know, then we go to Jersey the next week, go back to Philly, and just this before either one of them were champions, and how these two would push each other. Like, you know, you just saw greatness. Like, I just wish that stuff was documented back in the day, you know, 16, 17 years ago, when these guys were just going at it. You know, it was like Hagler-Hearns wars. You know, in Philly, these two guys going at it, and what happened with both of them going at it, they both became champions. You know, and Eddie's on to like going for his 5th belt. You know, and I don't know how many guys could ever do that. He's the first guy to have ever done Bellator and UFC belt, and now he's, you know, going for another amazing organization and won, and trying to, you know, get that belt. And you know, it's just like I said, it's just that fighter spirit. It's just in him, and I think that's why one is such a great match for Eddie, because, you know, one is about that fighting spirit, and I think Eddie exemplifies, you know, that warrior and that fighting spirit, and he's done it for so many years because it's just inbred in him and who he is.
10 rounds down in the dungeon of greatness.
I got really excited. This is everything I envisioned for One Championship when I signed with One Championship. And I thought, this is an opportunity to help be part of the team of One Championship, to say, let's bring them to America. Not only do I want to showcase myself, but this is an opportunity for One Championship to showcase the talent that's actually already there that people haven't seen. The Muay Thai, the boxing, the stand-up, like they do a plethora of shows. It's not just one particular show. It's a bunch of shows, and the fighters and athletes are like next level. You're gonna see like guys like Rotang and guys who have talent beyond belief, and that was what I wanted to bring to the table at One Championship, is come to America so the American audience can see what I'm seeing and how awesome this show is. And it's everything I envisioned with TNT. And the fact that I'm on the main card, I'll be fighting for a belt that's possibly has title implications. It's a huge moment for me. And I'm excited for this all to go down. It's everything I envisioned. Everything is coming together.